Hello, I'm Kevin Church, and this month for September 2023, our MUFIC Songwriter of the Month is Mike Kaufman. Hey, Mike, it's good to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we like to ask our guests a little bit about themselves so they can so we can introduce them to our audience. And we always say, hey, did you come from a musical family? What were your musical influences? How did you get your start?
Yeah, how much time do you have? You know, I do come from a musical family. Both my parents were musicians. My dad worked his way through college playing piano and trumpet in a big band. Mm-hmm. My mom was a classically trained pianist who actually wanted to play jazz too, but she just couldn't. She couldn't improvise, but she could read. I'm the oldest of three brothers. My younger brother, Steve, was the first person to ever win the National Flat Picking Championship in Winfield, Kansas 3 times.
Wow.
So we hate him a lot. And
I bet.
My youngest brother, Will, is a college professor in the UK, and he's one of the world's foremost authorities on the life and work of Woody Guthrie.
Wow.
He's got 4 or 5 books published, and tours around the world doing presentations, including playing and singing Woody stuff.
Wow.
So and he's also quite a banjo player and a violin player. He's now into Celtic music and just a lot of sessions in the UK, you know, like pub sessions. Not recording sessions.
That's really cool.
So yeah, and I have hair. So that's a standard line, I'm afraid, you know. But
I'm afraid I know that all sounds cool and all, but I dig the hair, man.
It's good because they're better than I am, so I'll take it. So yeah, growing up, there was always music in the house. I'm a child of the 60s, so you know, I remember seeing the Beatles when they first performed on Ed Sullivan, and how everything changed at that point. So growing up hearing them, and then the folk boom with you know, Paul Simon, Simon Garfunkel, Joni Mitchell, Judy Collins, Joan Baez, Gordon Lightfoot, and then later folks like Bill Staines and David Wilcox and James Taylor, of course, and Livingston Taylor, and all these folks who were doing, you know, incredible fingerstyle work.
Right.
So since my brother was so good at a flat pick, I kind of gravitated towards finger picking.
Nice.
So that's what I do.
That's really cool. So how old were you then, you think, at that point? Getting into your finger picking stage? About
12. I started trying to figure that out when I was 12, yeah.
That's really cool.
I should be a lot better than I am, to be honest. But I was working with thumb and 2 fingers, and then I remember sitting under a tree in my backyard trying real hard to add in the 3rd finger, and just working at it till it kind of worked. So that's what I do now.
That's wild. So at 12, were you writing your own songs yet? You think?
That came a little later. The first song I remember really writing was a really goofy protest song when I was about 14.
All right.
General kind of the world's in a state of turmoil kind of song. It was not very good, but man, it was important at the time. You know?
Oh, I get it. Yeah, absolutely.
And sporadically through the years, I've written songs as I've been inspired to do so. But songwriting was not a major emphasis until way later in my life, mostly because I was busy.
Right.
You know, working and then raising kids and working more and doing all those kinds of things. So
what kind of work were you doing?
Well, I've had 2 aspects to my career. I was a music teacher in schools for most of my career. I took a hiatus and I started teaching in a very small junior-senior high school. I was the band director. Mm-hmm. So we had a marching band and 2 concert bands and a jazz band. And I started a guitar class, and I taught music theory, and I taught junior high school general music. So it was, you know, it was a lot.
Yeah.
And I'd get home at the end of the day and would either have to scramble to find private students or go to gigs or something. So I left after a few years and spent a long time doing sales and marketing gigs.
Okay.
Ending up in the high-tech business, did that for about 20 years until 2001. After Y2K, that business kind of imploded, right?
Right.
So I was encouraged to go with 4,000 of my closest friends to go find another line of endeavor. So I went back to teaching at that point, and happily, and got back into doing music again. So that was nice.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So when you were doing all that, where were you living at the time?
I was in New Jersey, southern New Jersey, just outside of Philly.
Okay.
And my wife worked for a couple of different not-for-profits that used Blackbaud software, right? And Blackbaud is a big company, I should say, here
right.
in Charleston. And so every year she would be sent to Charleston to go to the user group meetings.
Okay.
And so one day she came in and said, "How'd you like to retire in Charleston?" Well, at this point, my kids are all over the country, so there was nothing tying me to New Jersey. So I said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" She said, "Oh, great, I found a house." And so
oh, wow.
We ended up happily here.
That's
and
awesome.
That was about 2013 that we moved here.
Okay. And then you got a job teaching here?
Yeah. I ended up my teaching career here, a year in Charleston County, and then 4 or 5 years after that in Berkeley County. Teaching elementary general music and ukuleles, xylophones, bongos on the floor, and singing.
Right back to the folk days.
Yes, absolutely.
That's so cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Very cool. During this time frame, as you're back in South Carolina, you're not back, but down in South Carolina, did your writing pick up at all?
Not till I retired.
Okay.
And this is where it gets a little wonky. In the end of 2016, my wife was diagnosed with ovarian cancer.
Oh.
And the problem with that, other than just cancer itself, is that the particular type of cancer that she has, there's no test for, and there's really no cure for. And so we knew, that this was it. So I retired in 2020, June of 2020. And my full-time gig at that point was to be her caregiver. And so I did that for a year until July of 21 when she passed away. And during that time, I wasn't writing a lot during 2020, but I was playing a lot.
Okay.
All right, and just playing music, and that was my therapy, and that was my prayer, and that was how I connected into the universe. And 2020 also, of course, is the big year of the pandemic when we were all stuck inside anyhow.
Right.
Right. With some exceptions here and there. And just playing music. I didn't have the wherewithal at that point to do lyrics, but I was playing an awful lot. And out of that time, there is one song that I wrote where the music just kind of worked to the point that I could send it off to a buddy and say, do you want to write some words for this?
Right.
And so he did. His name is Steve Shellmeyer, and that song and a whole bunch of others, after my wife passed away, I collected a whole bunch of songs into a CD, which is called Old Guy, New Songs. And that was about a lot of the feelings and experiences that I had coming out of losing my wife and trying to move forward and be a human,
Right.
So,
wow.
We toured with that last year, about a year ago, in the Mid-Atlantic states and up in New England. Did a bunch of house concerts and small venue shows. And
oh, cool.
It was wonderful. We ended up raising about $10,000 for ovarian cancer research because it's relatively underfunded compared to other types.
Sure.
And I should also say that in September of this year, September 14th of 2023, Pernell McDaniel, Dave Perry, and I, along with some special guests, are going to be doing a benefit concert for the South Carolina Ovarian Cancer Foundation.
Wonderful.
That'll be at Encore Music Hall in Mount Pleasant, and that I'm not expecting to do 10 grand from that, but we should do a couple $1,000 on that.
Great. And that's September what again?
September 14th. That's a Thursday night.
Awesome. And the time?
I think we're starting 7:30.
Okay.
Depends how quickly we can get the PA set up.
I got you, man. Awesome. Okay. At Encore, you said?
Yeah. And there is an Eventbrite link. It's Low Country Songwriters United Against Ovarian Cancer. That's what you look for.
Okay.
Right.
Great. Well, we just plugged that, so hopefully get some people
that would be
who've
great,
been watching to come out and see it. That'd be great, and support it. There's something else that we were doing off camera too. We're talking about your guitar a little bit. You want to talk about that just for a minute? About
sure.
How you found it, and
it's a neat guitar. It's a small company out in Wisconsin called McPherson, and most of the work that they do is custom builds. Very high-end work, high-end woods, and a lot of engineering things that make the guitar sound really nice. This was 20 years ago. I was playing D35, a Martin D35 that I loved, but I had to take it in for the dreaded E-string crack, right, from the bridge up to the guitar. So I found an authorized Martin dealer, a repair shop, and as I was waiting for the guy to write the ticket, I noticed that this shop was also a McPherson dealer, and he had a whole bunch of them on the wall. So I said, do you mind if I look at one of those? And he said, yeah, sure, go ahead. And we'd been in the car for a while, and Suzanne was desperately looking for the ladies' room. And I took the guitar down and I strummed an A chord, and she stopped in her tracks, and she said, what was that? And I said, I think that's my next guitar. So
that's wild.
Saved up for a while till I could get that one.
Well, I've played it. It's phenomenal.
It's a
really interesting guitar.
I'm lucky to have that one. Yeah.
Well, you're gonna be playing it today for us, right?
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. So, what song are you going to do for us today?
Song is called "Who Will You Be."
Okay. Tell us about "Who Will You Be."
Well, it's my next to last recent one that I've done.
All right.
And I wrote it for my grandchildren. I have
cool 5
grandbabies. Ranging in age from about 2. My oldest grandchild is going to be 20 in November. I've raised him since he was 18 months.
Okay.
So he's like my kid, right? So he'll be leaving for college in a few days for his sophomore year. They're letting him go back. It's amazing. So this is to them. Just the idea being that the entire world is in front of them, and it's all there for them to grab.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
It's a great outlook, too, rather than telling them they don't have what they need in order to succeed, because we all have what we need to succeed.
Exactly.
We just need to believe it.
Exactly.
So the next thing I have to ask you before we play the song, I'm backtracking a little bit. What and where how can people access this new songs, old man, new songs, or
thank
whatever?
you.
Old guy new songs.
Yeah. The easiest way to do it is to go to my Bandcamp site. Just search Mike Kaufman on Bandcamp.
Okay.
And I've got 2 or 3 CDs and some singles up there.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
So they can easily find them there, and they can either stream them or download them at that point.
All right. Great. Well,
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Absolutely. I want people to hear, especially, the ones that I just want to hear everybody hear your music. That's all.
Well, and I should say that all revenues from Old Guy New Songs are still going to support ovarian cancer.
Okay. That's wonderful. All right.
So everybody should buy it.
So I'll be downloading that album, of course.
Thank you.
From you. Cool. Well, thank you for being on our show. Can't wait to play on your song, Mike.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
man. A lot.
Mike Kaufman, everybody. Who will
what will you do? Go on out and change the world just by being you. I know you can be happy and free. The world's a big, big place. Who will you be? My child's child, running free and wild out in the morning sun. All you have to do is laugh and play till the day is done. I wish this would always be the way your life will go. The world is all in front of you. I'd really like to know, who will you be? What will you do? Go on out and change the world just by being you. I know you can be happy and free. The world's a big, big place. Who will you be? It won't always be easy. It won't always seem fair. But you have people who love you, will always be right there. You might be a lawyer, you might fix cars, might work at the mall. The job you have isn't who you are. That's not it at all. You might be a dentist, you might be a clown, you might even change your mind. Well, I don't care what you do for work, just be sure you're kind. Who will you be? What will you do? Go on out and change the world just by being you. Well, I know you can be happy and free. The world's a big, big place. Who will you be? The world's a big, big place. Who will you be?
MUFIC sets you free.